and welcome everyone to Last Level Press. I'm Mr. Black, and this is I Remember the Rain, an interesting looking entry I discovered on, I believe, Game Jolt quite a while back and only just now got around to playing, and it's not necessarily a game of sorts. It's described as an interactive short story that players can influence, so I'm kind of looking forward to getting a little change of pace to my usual type of content with this. I'm guessing by the title alone, I know you're not supposed to judge a book by its cover, but it's going to be something a little bit more intellectual, something probably a little bit more emotionally driven, so I'm going to try to keep this a little bit calmer, a little bit more low-key. It was created over the span of, I believe, about a month, if I recall correctly, by Mr. Jordan Brown, or Miss Jordan Brown, considering that's kind of one of those, like, neutrally gender-specific names, I don't know. So let's move on. Arrows to move, press space. Alrighty then. That night. I like the music. Rather dramatic. Can I do something? Oh, I have to just press space. Okay. I like the pixel art. It's oddly cinematic compared to most pixel art driven games. Very, very atmospheric. Now I'm actually moving. Kind of creeped out. Why did I stop on the side of the road?
Do you remember? I remember the rain. Thousands of tiny razors against my skin.
Oh.
Keep back. The ambulance will be here shortly.
Oh. This got...
I almost bled to death. I couldn't. I had to find you. And when I did, I almost wished that I hadn't.
waiting room. Okay, I definitely hit the nail on the head with the emotionally driven narrative. Didn't expect this to go to quite such dark territory so quickly. I guess at this point, I'm rather obliged to give the warning that this could get rather heavy rather quickly, considering it already has, so do pause if you're prone to get over-emotional when it comes to these things. Otherwise, let's dive into the rest.
Playing out the situations, the things I could have said and how I could have changed.
Just have to wait like the rest of them.
I've been waiting here for days.
The doctor said he was only sleeping.
I'm so sorry. There's nothing more we could have done.
ironically even looks at you when you walk past them.
May your memories give you strength.
I know my commentary has dropped off to near nothingness at this point, but I don't feel it would necessarily be appropriate to talk this game to death until after completing it, so I'm going to keep commentary to a minimum until we reach the end.
We live in the hearts of those we leave behind.
Do we really go to a better place?
How can you sum up someone's entire life in a single day? So many words I wanted to say. I spoke to them, and I said them to you.
Oh man. I was not expecting to get that kind of narrative impact today. Wow. I am incredibly impressed with what I've just experienced. One of the most emotional, interactive experiences that managed to touch upon some very real and very dark issues that a great deal of us will, at some point in our lives, deal with in some form or fashion. It's never something one likes to think a great deal about, and I'm kind of laboring to keep my voice steady, as I've lost a great deal of friends in my time. I've never really brought it up a great deal on the channel, as it's never been terribly relevant, and I don't like to be a great deal of a downer, but it's relevant now, and a lot of what this game has just covered is very poignant, and the writing, I can critique on an objective level, was very relatable. It definitely sounds like the kind of things that you will hear in that kind of situation from friends, from family, from doctors, from those who are given the task of breaking very dark and unhappy news to those who really don't want to hear the very one thing that they're about to be told. And a lot of writers can botch that. A lot of them can overlabor it, they can over-dramatize it, and this didn't. And the soundtrack at work here manages not to itself be over-dramatic, but to instead carry the mood and the atmosphere of what is not meant to be a pleasant experience. It's meant to be a relation to an expression of sorrow that, unfortunately, too many people experience too frequently. And I could explain a little bit more of my own relation, but I don't necessarily feel it's appropriate to call all of the attention and light upon myself. I've just never really been the one to do that, so I'll just keep it very brief. And it's to say that a couple of you, a very, very small couple of you, are aware of the not quite as happy origins of my on-screen persona, that of Mr. Black. It came from a nickname I was given back in high school when I first lost a few people that were very close to me. And I say a few because unfortunately it wasn't just one, it wasn't just two, it was a number of people. And I, from then on, started to wear black as a sort of, I acknowledge now, sort of self-indulgent means of funerary respect for those who are gone. And it became a habit. And as I lost, unfortunately, a few more people throughout the years, the habit stuck. And it just kind of became what I wore all the time. It's a constant, quiet respect and memorial to those that I can't see anymore. And now I'm really having a hard time keeping my voice steady, so I'm going to instead wrap here. And thank you guys for joining again. I may post a little warning at the beginning of this video. You will, of course, already know if I have or not, regarding the rather emotional nature of this video. just know, especially in myself, if nothing else, we're all unfortunately going to go through very dark things in our lives at some point. It's an unhappy facet of life as a human being, and you've always got someone out there to reach out to. Even if you don't know them, if you don't know me, if you don't know Violeta, if you don't know Atticus, if you don't know anybody else in this community, we have built an incredibly positive and a supportive community here at Last Level Press, and I assure you, someone here can give you, if nothing else, a shoulder to cry on, someone to relate to, someone to just vent to when you're going through the anger of loss or the sorrow aspect of it. I mean, there's the stages of grief and getting through it. Always know that there is someone to help you out with that. Here, elsewhere, likely within your own friends and family, if not amongst them, you've definitely got numerous eyes, ears, and shoulders here that you can come to. And I assure you, no one here is going to turn you away should you feel the need to do so. So, that was I Remember the Rain, everyone. You can give this a shot yourself, add a download link in the description below. If you wish to get a more candid look at it without my commentary, I now kind of feel bad having talked over a little bit of it. I simply didn't know exactly what I was in for at the time, so I do hope you guys can forgive me a little bit for that. So, I'm Mr. Black here at Last Level Press. As always, I wish you all good gaming, and Godspeed. Okay, apparently after that the end screen, there was a little bit more to this, so I'm going to try and cover that very quickly. I doubt it's much, but I do want to cover as much of this as I can before I completely wrap. Oh god. Okay, don't tell me this is gonna go where I think it's gonna go.
I can't fucking do it.
Damn right you can't. Alright then. I guess we've got a little more to go through. I wasn't gonna touch on that subject, because I didn't want to go quite that dark today, but we're gonna go through all of it, aren't we? Okay.
I've learned to live without you, but still, sometimes I wish that I was the one that died. I wish that it was me in that car, and you in that way. That it was you standing here now.
But it isn't like that, is it? I'd give it all for you if I could.
Okay.
It's funny the things you remember. I remember the rain.
Wow. Okay. I guess I'm gonna wrap for the second time, but before I do, that touched upon yet more and even closely, rather more closely relatable subject material. Know as well that not only if you are going through dark times do you have friends and allies and people on the same level with you, mentally, emotionally, here to deal with things that, should you yourself feel compelled to follow those who are gone, know that that's likely not the answer. And you've got those, I will dare even mention publicly, including myself, who've been there and decided now's not the time. And I don't claim to speak for everyone in every situation, but in my experience, leaving the world before one's given time is not the best means of coping with negativity, whether it's coming from a person, from a situation. And you guys need to know that there are always people who can help you. I will always be available. You guys know how to get in contact with me, whether that be through the sheer comments of this video, whether it be on our forum, whether it be on any of our social media sites, which I administer. And I assure you that if you don't necessarily want to speak to myself or to Violeta or to anyone else here at Last Level Press, there is someone here in the community that can give you some relation, can give you support. You don't have to go through anything in life alone if you don't want to. Don't feel trapped. Don't feel like you've got to be alone. If you're hearing me now, it means you're not. Let that sink in. You don't necessarily even need to reach out. If this getting told right now is all it takes to give you the reassurance that you need, that you can make it through whatever you're struggling through, good on it. I really hope that you guys can take to heart the fact that you don't need to suffer alone if you don't need to. You don't need to reach out, you don't need to speak up, you don't need to draw attention to yourself if you think that would only make you more anxious, but know that if you do need even a very private shoulder to cry on, or to relate to, or to vent at, whatever the case may be, we are all here. And that's all I can say, and keep myself from totally falling apart on camera, and I will allow myself enough pride to prevent at least that. So thank you guys very much for joining me on this rather emotional ride today. Again, I was not expecting that, but Jordan Brown, you've outdone yourself, as well as all of the others on the team, the sound design in particular. That was magnificent, and definitely delivered a very cohesive experience. Again, the one word that resonates with me with regard to this experience is relatability, relation, and it's because I've been there every damn step of the way. So, well done. Very well done. I know some might call something like this, sorrow porn or something like that, but I don't necessarily think that's the case. I think we all sometimes need to be reminded of not just our own mortality, but of the fact that everyone goes through things like this at some point. I've said that a couple of times now, but I think it bears repeating. And experiences like this call attention to that. And they can be, I don't want to call it a negative experience. It can be unpleasant. It can be stressful. It can be emotional. It can bring you to tears to experience. And yet when one takes a step back, it can be one of the most positive things one can imagine. To be reminded that because you can relate to it, because I'm sure you know others who can relate to it, like I said, it means you're not alone. It's a reminder that we all deal with this. We're all in this together. Everyone can help out anyone else. And whether you're extending a helping hand to someone in need of it, or you're the one reaching out, no one is better or lesser than anyone. Never let anyone tell you how to grieve. You've always got to move through anything negative in your life in your own way. We are all different, but we can all help each other at some stage along the way. So that's all I've got to say, because now we're actually at the end. So thank you guys for joining me here at Last Level Press for I Remember the Rain. You can go and download this, as I mentioned before, at the link in the description below. I'm Mr. Black, and for the second time this evening, I wish you all good gaming and Godspeed.